So, welcome to the discipline entitled Fundamentals in Entrepreneurship. My name is Cătălina CRIFTAN. I'm Associate Professor at Babeș-Bolyai University at the Faculty of Economics and Business Administration Management Department. And I'm going to be your host for today's introductory course entitled Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Definitions and Interdependencies. So our today's agenda looks like this. We are going to talk about the organizational details, just to know exactly what to expect from this discipline. And I will tell you about the access to courses, the topics that are going to be addressed, and also the evaluation method. Then we will continue with innovation and entrepreneurship. And in this course, the first course, I'm going to define the concepts of entrepreneurship. Also because you are coming from different fields, and you have different backgrounds and specializations, I will highlight two perspectives in entrepreneurship that will show you actually the fact that entrepreneurship is an alternative for everyone who wants to become an entrepreneur. Then we are going to talk about innovation, and you will see that every entrepreneurial process starts when a need is identified on the market, when a problem is identified. Okay. Then we are going to set some key takeaways, and we'll have the opportunity, I would rather say, to discuss with Professor David Mamano from University of Rochester, New York. He's going to join us, and we are going to have a brief interview, and you will have the opportunity to ask him questions if you want to, okay? And there is going to be an evaluation, but no, don't worry, I will tell you about the details in a few seconds. How will we do it? Okay, so the responsible for the discipline is Dan Mircea, professor or lecturer at the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science. So on his website, you will find actually the details of this course. Actually, you will have access to slides, to the slides that are going to be presented during the next 12 weeks by different presenters. Also, you will have access to the video recordings in case you want to review them. This discipline is going to provide you the amazing opportunity actually to meet people, academics and practitioners that know many things about entrepreneurship, and I'm pretty sure that they will inspire you. But of course, you have to know that you have to be engaged in this course. You will have access to resources that will be extremely relevant to your entrepreneurial journey. But it's so very important to know that you have to read them, and you have to invest some time after the courses in order to understand them, in order to learn more and to develop this information, to transform this information into valuable knowledge. Also, you have to know that in each faculty you will have access to tutors that will provide you the information you need in case you face challenges, in case you have questions. Okay. Regarding this course, so the first chapter is going to be about innovation and entrepreneurship, and then we will discuss this topic today. Also, I want to highlight the fact that the next courses, I will make a summary of the next courses, and I will, you can see here the fact that Dr. Bianca Muntean, co-founder and coordinator at Transylvania Digital Hub, is going to provide you the information regarding how to make digital transformation and also how to encourage innovative thinking. Also, value proposition is so very important for every entrepreneur, knowing what the customer needs and how to transform an idea into a business concept, and how to identify actually a problem and to transform it into a business concept. It's so very important. So Tudor Mihai, business innovation consultant and trainer, he's going to provide you the support you need for this.
Market research, you will see that is so very relevant once you want to start a business. So Dafina Suciu, sales manager at Cluj Hub, will provide you information regarding how to identify potential customers, how to track their expectations. So once we refer to the market research, we have to know our competitors, okay? We have to know what are their strengths and how we can develop a competitive advantage. So Professor Radu Nikita is going to provide you the information you need for this. So in order to grow your business, you have to know how to set roles, how to build a team, okay? So Alexandru Roja, Head of Innovation and Digital Transformation in Transylvania IT Cluster, will provide you the 6th course. Turning an idea into a business requires time. And in most of the cases, you have to know, actually, always, you have to know how to structure your ideas, your knowledge. So a business plan is a useful tool, and that will help you to set and to clarify your business. So Assistant Dr. Manuela Petrescu will help you with this. Regarding launching a product and how to make a minimum viable product, this information is going to be provided you by Professor Daniel Metz, Chairman at the Board of Directors at Entity Data Romania. Probably sometimes it's quite, for some of us, public speaking might be something that we don't necessarily like, but if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you have to know how to convince other people to follow your dream, to follow your vision, okay? So you have to know how to make a pitch, and Cristina Bogățeanu will provide you the support you need for this purpose. Social responsibility has become increasingly important to investors and consumers because they seek investments that are not just profitable, but also contribute to the welfare of the society. So Dragoș Anastasiu, founder of Rethink Romania, will provide you a course about social responsibility. Entrepreneurs have to operate on the market, so they have to know the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So they have to get in contact with organizations, with actors that can support the growth of new ventures. So at this point, I think that it's so very important to know about entrepreneurship and growth opportunities, and Mircea Vădean, founding board member at Transylvania Entails Network, will provide you the support. Also, we know that entrepreneurs, once they start a business, they rely on their own savings or on their family. But we have to know that there are so many opportunities now for startups. And Transylvania Bank, a representative from Transylvania Bank, will provide you this information. So because you have some questions regarding the evaluation method, I will tell you about the fact that at the end of this course, you will actually have a quiz, and you will have 30 minutes to find the right answers. I'm pretty sure then that you will do it very quickly. I have to highlight the fact that for each questionnaire, you can get 5 points. So per semester, you can get 60 points. And the final grade formula you can see here, that is actually point accumulated multiplied by 9 per 50 plus 1 point, because you are exceptional and you choose to follow this discipline. So let's talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, definitions and interdependencies. And I will highlight what Peter Drucker said. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Okay, so definitely entrepreneurship is the way to create your own future, mainly because you can rely on your knowledge, on your expertise, and you can do what you enjoy the most, because many entrepreneurs decide to use their own hobbies to start a business.
So let's see the definitions. For the first time, the term entrepreneur was defined as being a man in charge in arranging and conducting exploratory and military expeditions. So from the beginning, we can see that the entrepreneur is a person that wants to know more and to take risks. Also, the most often associated name with the term of the entrepreneur is the one of Joseph Schumpeter. And he defines actually the term entrepreneur as being an innovator who leads the creation-destruction process of capitalism. What does this mean? Actually, the entrepreneurs are behind the economic progress. They are constantly trying to come up with new approaches, new ways of doing things, making the existing ones obsolete. So they are change agents, as Svedberg says. Here you can find the definition the definition provided by Scarborough. An entrepreneur is a person who creates a new business, facing the risk and uncertainty to achieve profits and growth. And as well, we have to consider that they have to identify the opportunities on the market and to use the existing resources to combine them in an innovative way, in such a way to capitalize on them. According to Romanian legislation, law number 133 for 1999 highlights the fact that this is very important, okay? The entrepreneur is an authorized individual or legal entity who by themselves or through association with other authorized individuals or legal entities incorporate a company in order to engage in commercial activities with the aim of achieving profits. But they have to produce goods, they have to provide services, and to sell them on a competitive market, because the market is not perfect, okay? So this is, according to our legislation, the definition of an entrepreneur. Take this into consideration. If we take a look on the entrepreneurial profile, if you take a look on the existing literature, you will find the fact that there are so many characteristics, there are so many features that an entrepreneur should have. So most of the entrepreneurs are very optimistic. Actually, they believe in their chance of being successful. Okay, they are also responsible for their business, and in many cases, entrepreneurs, because they were involved in the creation and the development of the business, they see their business as being their child. So, which is, I think, quite normal. And another thing that we have to consider is that they are visionaries, they are future oriented, and they have to pay attention to what the future provides them. What are the opportunities that might arise? So at this point, I'm not saying that they don't have to pay attention to their mistakes. They have to learn from them, but they have to be optimistic, and they will have to constantly focus on what can be done in the future. Okay, what can be improved. Also, we have to consider that they are self-discipline and perseverance are two qualities that are so very important, mainly because they have to stay motivated to take actions regardless of how they are feeling physically and emotionally, and they have to continue their effort. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy adventure. Okay, they will have to face failure and certain or opposition or insurmountable barriers sometimes, but they have to keep struggle to follow their dreams. Also, we have to consider that entrepreneurs are flexible, okay, and they have the ability to face the changing demands and to adapt their perspectives.
Also, we have to consider here that they have to be all charismatic. And if you talk, or if you have the opportunity, or probably you had the opportunity to meet or to discuss with an entrepreneur, you will see that they are very charismatic. And they are, because they have to convince people to buy their product, they have to know how to communicate and how to support their business idea. Risk taker, we have to consider, sometimes entrepreneurs are considered to be, let's say, wild risk takers, but it's not true. They have to show preference for a calculated risk. Okay, I will kindly ask you to turn off your microphones because there is a noise. Thank you, if it's possible. Okay, thank you so much. Also, we have to consider entrepreneurs as being persons that are very energetic, and actually they are more energetic than an average person. They show tolerance for ambiguity, and they have to do it, mainly because they don't have all the data, and they have to take decisions even if they don't know every details, and they might have conflicting information. Okay. Also, they have to be always open to learn and eager to learn, because from every experience, they can do that. Looking for feedback, especially if we are referring to entrepreneurs that want to innovate, to create new products, then we have to recognize the fact, or to understand the fact that the results might not be visible immediately, but they have to set milestones to see the achievements, and not necessarily to focus on the money that they can get or the income. So, key elements to follow the entrepreneurial path. Everything starts with the mindset. What is the mindset? Actually, the mindset highlights the beliefs that shape the way the individual perceives certain actions, initiatives, and definitely this mindset will influence the way that individual will think, behave in certain situations. So if you are a person that if you are optimistic and you are open to new things, and you believe in your chance of being successful, and you think that you believe in yourself, this is actually the first step. Okay, because from the beginning, imagine yourself, if you don't think in your chances of being successful, if you are afraid to try new things, then you are not going to do it. So being a growth mindset, having a growth mindset, it's so very important. Next, but of course, you have to be well educated, and you have to have the knowledge in the industry, in the domain that you want to start a business. So never stop learning, okay? But the theory is important, but it's very important also to develop capabilities, skills, to see how you can, to identify the way you can apply the theory that you know, okay? And also the community. What does it mean? So try to set and develop communities, set relations with people that can help you, with stakeholders, with clients, develop social capital. So social capital is not equal with capital social, the money that you use in order to start a business. Social capital refers to the networks, relationships that you can set with people that can help you, with organizations, with clients, with investors. So being capable to develop trustworthy relationship is so very important for the growth of a business. Also, you have to know that this course gives you the opportunity, because you are coming from so many fields, okay? Gives gives you the opportunity to meet people that might have similar interests, but they might have complementary skills. And this is very important in order to encourage innovation. Okay, so take advantage of this amazing opportunity that you have. Regarding the benefits, why we should follow the entrepreneurial path. So there are many opportunities. First of all, you can create your own destiny, you can have your independence, and actually you can do what's important to you. Yeah. So you have the opportunity to make a difference. Many entrepreneurs start businesses because they have invented a new product, something unique, but at the same time they can address social cause, social problems, because unfortunately we have many. But entrepreneurs see opportunities where others see only problems and challenges. Okay, so another opportunity that entrepreneurship provides you is actually the possibility to reach your full potential. Once you enjoy what you are doing, definitely you are gonna be more energetic, and you will be more likely to be successful, because you will put all the energy you have it in order to achieve what you want to. Also, many entrepreneurs decide to start businesses because they want to become rich, and this is also an important reason for starting a business. Another thing that we have to consider, or another opportunity, is the fact that many entrepreneurs decide to follow this path because they want to enjoy and have fun. So because they use because they are actually using their own hobbies in order to create a business. And once you are doing what you like the most, then you will never have to work a day in your life. So start from your hobbies. This is recommendations. Take a look on the knowledge that you have and what you enjoy to do. Of course, nothing is perfect in this world. So we have also potential drawbacks. Uncertainty of income. This is something that can happen at the beginning of the entrepreneurial journey. Many entrepreneurs do not get, or they don't get the expected return of their investment, enough income. Also, long hours and hard work. For many entrepreneurs, the first years might be actually very difficult, because they have to work, let's say, 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, and without paid vacation. This might be a norm for some entrepreneurs. Of course, there is a risk to lose the entire investment, but of course, in order to reduce this risk, you have to look a little bit, to analyze a little bit your skills. You have to see if you have a plan B. What is the worst that could happen? Okay. Also, you have to evaluate yourself. If you are truly prepared to start a business, what can be done in order to reduce as much as possible the risk? Okay. In the first years of activity as an entrepreneur, most of them, there is a high risk to have a lower quality of life. Many entrepreneurs have to sacrifice their personal life in order to, because they are working in order to make the business work. Also, we have to consider that this might lead to high level of stress, anxiety, discouragement. Not all the plans are gonna go according to entrepreneurs' wishes. And another thing, if you are self-employed, if you are the only owner of the business, then you will have complete responsibility. So entrepreneurship, what's entrepreneurship? Once we refer to entrepreneurship, is actually the process of identifying opportunities for which marketable needs exist. Okay, that makes the entrepreneur to take risks in order to start an organization. And I will try to highlight here some of the things that, some of the steps of the entrepreneurship process. So every entrepreneurship process starts with a problem, okay? So people actually spend money because they want to solve a problem, to get rid of a suffering, okay? But they might want to pay, and actually they are paying also for what brings them happiness, okay, satisfaction, benefits. So I'm pretty sure that everyone had the opportunity to identify a problem and then to come up with an innovative idea, okay? But an innovative idea, before that, but I will say that innovative idea might be a new process, a new way of combining the existing resources, or a new, let's say, a new product, yeah? But now is that but, not everyone had the courage, the time, and the willingness to put that idea into practice. So there is a need of a trigger, an impulse that makes people to react, okay? So that trigger can be associated with let's say, the loss of a job, a divorce. It might be the need for independence. So due to this trigger, the entrepreneur actually decides to put his idea into practice. So the implementation process starts. Due to the implementation process, the entrepreneur has to develop his business concept, okay? This implies customer validation, discussions with people that might help him or her to develop the business concept. There is a way to reduce as much as possible the investment, the risk of making investments in early stages. It's called actually lean startup. Through lean startup, you can validate your products, your business concepts, actually, your prototype, your business concept with your customers, okay, before making too many investments. Also, due to the implementation process, you can make, and it is recommended to make, a business plan to structure your key activities, to set your key activities, to set your key partners, to establish the key resources you have. Also the value proposition, to see what's going to be the income that you expect to generate. Then the startup happens. This is the next step. This is also called the entrepreneurial event. A startup is not equal with an organization, okay? The startup is a temporary organization and designed to search for repeatable and scalable business model. So if you have a product, this doesn't mean that you have a business model. This doesn't mean that you are going to be successful, okay? So you have to develop and to create your business in such a way to provide value to the customers, okay? And this implies much more. Then the growth stage and maturity and harvest. What does this mean? During this stage, actually, the entrepreneur has to develop his product, and then there are two strategies that they can use, the entrepreneurs: product development and or market development. During the maturity stage, actually, the maturity stage can be associated with maturity in nature and people. Okay, so at this point, the business
is able to provide enough income, and if the entrepreneur is capable to make the right strategies, the right decision to and also at this stage, this implies innovation, okay, update the product, to come up with new approaches. Then during the harvest is going to be associated with something positive, which means that he can sell the business, he can set a merger, but also he can, let's say, sell the business to employees, employee stock ownership plan. But if the things are not going properly, then he has to close the business. So let's see. These are actually the steps that we have to consider. So at the beginning of the course, I told you that I will highlight two major perspectives from my point of view in entrepreneurship. So I will take the first one takes into consideration the degree of innovation. Small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurship were often used interchangeably. According to Professor Bill Owlett of MIT, he sees actually the fact that entrepreneurship can take two different forms. The first one, if you are referring here to small and medium enterprises, this is the first category, and innovation-driven enterprises, okay? So small and medium enterprises actually are those organizations that identify a need on a market. They don't necessarily innovate too much. Innovation is not a core of their business model, but they serve the market needs. And an example here can be some examples: a restaurant, a service company, dry cleaners, okay? This kind of small and medium enterprises actually, they, if the entrepreneur invests in the business, then the revenue, the cash flow, the jobs created are going to grow exponentially, okay? There is going to be a linear growth, but at some point it will be capped, okay? In this category, we have to consider that most of the entrepreneurs are using sole proprietorship. We can see more family businesses, okay? They don't necessarily rely on too much collaboration, let's say, with different investors. If we compare it with innovation-driven enterprise, on the other side, innovation-driven enterprises, we have to consider that this type of organizations have innovation. Actually, a core of their business model is an innovative product, innovative services. And here you have examples like Netflix, Uber, UiPath. When they started, they revolutionized the industry. Of course, this innovation is not going to happen just like that from one day to another. It requires time, requires investment. And this is the reason that we see more diverse ownership, more people that are involved in the process, okay? But once a product, an innovative product is created, the growth of revenues, cash flow, and jobs is going to be exponentially. Okay, so the essence of a good IDE, innovation-driven enterprise, is to combine technology essentials and business essentials. So it's so very important to be able to so the scientists and the engineers, they know what to do it, okay? And we saw so many examples of innovative products that got, that were, yes, very innovative, but they weren't able, but those products were not sold on the market, were not successful on the market. because there is a need of business essentials. Okay, so which means that there is a need for knowledge to frame those decisions, to start and grow that particular company, to take into consideration the particularities of the product, of that specific product that incorporates a certain technology, certain rules to apply that product, and so on. So if we, in order to have actually an IDE, it's so very important, the interdisciplinary collaboration. Having a multidisciplinary team is not easy to manage, but is a source of a major competitive advantage. Okay, so if you want to follow this path, you definitely have to have in mind that in your team there should be people with analytical and resolution skills. Also, they should know, they should have technical expertise, management, leadership expertise. Okay, so the profile that you will have to profiles that you will have to consider once you set your team, once you start your business, and you want to come up with an innovative product on the market, then you have to have a financial controller, marketing specialists, technicians, or at least you have to know to have this kind of skills and try to find people that can complement you. Probably at the beginning it's going to be very difficult to have all the skills that you need, but try to consider this. Also, you have to have the leadership skills to make these people collaborate, work together. This is not an easy task, because if this would be easy, everybody would do it. Okay. Regarding the innovation-driven enterprises, I would like to also to highlight some stages and activities that you should take into consideration, because the starting point is, or normally the entrepreneurs that want to create this kind of organization, they have to rely on innovation. And research on development is so very important. So you need documentation, laboratory research, validation in laboratory. But at the same time, once you have to know how it's going to work, that product in real environment, how complicated it's going to be. Okay, the validation process is also mandatory and this implies setting or identifying experts, testers that can provide you reliable feedback. Also, you have to know how to manage this feedback in such a way to incorporate it. Also, you have to create an open validation channel. What we have also to take into consideration is the market research. Market research will help you to identify what the trends are. And to identify the opportunities coming from the market, but also the threats. So pastel analysis, knowing the macro environment, political, economical, social, technological, ecological, and legal factors, they might provide you several opportunities, okay? But also you have to be aware that there are threats that are coming that can appear. Also, once we operate in a certain industry, we have to know who are going to be the stakeholders that we have to take into consideration. The bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining power of customers, but also the competition. And here we have to take into consideration not only the new startups, the early ventures, but also the companies that are well established on the market, or the companies that provide substitutes products. Then you have to set your main competitors and to see what they are doing better than you, in order to set your strategies. Once you create, you focus your business model on a new product development, and you want to create a product, and innovation is going to be a core of your business model. You have to make a prototype, of course, and then you have to test it to see how it's going to work in a real environment, but also in the market. And you have to know how to protect your product. Intellectual property is so very important. IP ownership, this implies having the ownership of the intellectual property. Also pay attention and focus on, try to see how you are going to develop your portfolio, and also to have control over your portfolio. Next, the business model. Canvas is a useful template, strategic tool. Actually, it is a template that provides you the possibility to develop to set the main components of your business, and it enables the whole team to be on the same page. So it's gonna be also, you have to make a canvas model. Then you have to make to set the process operationalization. What are gonna be your activities? What are gonna be the relationships that you are gonna set with the key stakeholders? And you have to constantly update the business model because the market is changing. Scaling up implies product development and market development. Also, you have to, these are two strategies that you have to consider once you want to grow your business. Strategic management, develop a multidisciplinary team. This is a key element. Try to find people that complement each other. Also, knowledge management. Now it's more important than never because there is so much content available. You have to know how to create knowledge, how to transfer it to people that can, that have to use it. Employees, customers, okay, suppliers. Setting strategic partnerships is also so very important to find key partners that you are going to rely on. Develop social capital, networks, trustworthy relationships. Another perspective in entrepreneurship takes into consideration the mission. Okay, so actually the element that we have to consider here is that some of the entrepreneurs are motivated by their profits, and the profit size actually defines the success of their organization, while others are much more motivated by social and environmental mission. Okay, so this is what defines the success. I'm not saying that social entrepreneurship doesn't take into consideration economic activities. There are social enterprises, and we are going to talk about this. There are different types of organizations that can promote social entrepreneurship. So what is social entrepreneurship? I would like to highlight the fact that the primary mission of the organizations that are promoting social entrepreneurship is to create social, cultural, and environmental value. Okay, so it's so very important to know that they are based on solid ethical principles aimed at capitalizing the opportunity given by a strong social mission. Once we refer to social entrepreneurship, we have to consider that social innovation is a part of the process, and also social change, okay? Which means that social change has in the center the vulnerable groups, people that need support in order to change their status, to become financially autonomous. Okay, so social innovation actually involves the development of and the introduction of ideas, behaviors, products, processes, but the purpose is to create social impact. Social entrepreneurs are special people. Not everyone can become a social entrepreneur. So normally it's a person or a group that is interested first of all, to create social impact, to create social good, not just to pursue the profit. This doesn't exclude developing a self-sustainable model that rely on economic activities that in the end leads to profits that will be used actually in order to support their activities. So the primary mission of social entrepreneurs is to have create social value. So social mission is the element that distinguishes a social entrepreneur than a commercial one. Here is something that I like it so much. Bill Drayton, actually the founder of Ashoka, he said the following thing, and I think that it's so very inspiring and highlights very well what social entrepreneur is. So social entrepreneurs are not just content to give away the fish or to teach others how to fish, okay? But they are revolutionizing the fishing industry. So just to have an idea, just to have an image regarding what I mean by social entrepreneurship and commercial entrepreneurship, just look at this slide. And actually, we want to refer to commercial entrepreneurship. The focus is on getting or developing economic activities and in order to be profitable. Of course, they might get involved in social responsibility programs. They might donate, or they might involve their employees in different programs. But this might be for marketing reasons, or because the owner wants to do it. So it's not something that is the core of the main mission of the entrepreneur. Okay, so the purpose is to be profitable, and the result is measured based on the profit, the size of the profit. While social entrepreneurship has the main mission to create social impact. Here we can, based on what's happening on Romanian market, I highlighted 3 types of organizations. And traditional nonprofit organizations, here are actually those organizations, NGOs, that rely on sponsorships, voluntary actions, donations, grants, but they are not developing economic activities. Okay, entrepreneurial nonprofit organizations, besides the donations, sponsorships, they use and they try to develop economic activities. While social enterprises are hybrid organizations, and actually they are capable to develop a self-sustainable mechanism to sell goods on the market, to involve vulnerable groups, to hire people from vulnerable groups, to get involved in the process. And the social mission actually is achieved first because they hire people from vulnerable groups, but at the same time they use the surplus in order to develop social projects, or many NGOs use social enterprises. They create social enterprises in order to finance their own activities. So they create social enterprises that operate on competitive markets. They are profitable, and the surplus is provided to them, is invested in the NGO in order to support their programs. Another topic that I want to address is going to be about innovation and problem solving. So here we have to know that every innovation starts, and actually we had the opportunity to see that every innovation, every entrepreneurial process starts with a problem, with a need. But we also have to highlight the fact that at the beginning, the entrepreneurs rely on his or her own assumptions regarding a specific problem. So they have to, every entrepreneur has to validate his business concept, has to see, to get out of the building and ask customers to see their perspectives. There are two ways of doing this. Market pull, which means that the entrepreneur has to go and actually he has to find a problem, to talk to customers, people that can help him in order to update his idea, business concept. But there is another way, technology push. This is rather preferred by, rather used by engineers and scientists. They rely on certain knowledge and then that they have, and they create a product, a concept. But in order to make that product, in order to see the viability on the market of that specific product, they have actually to validate the product with the market, okay, to see the applicability of that of the technologies or the new things that they have created with real customers, okay, because otherwise they will have a patent, yes, for that innovation, for that invention. Sorry, there is a big difference between invention and innovation, and I will tell you this in a few seconds. But so he will get a patent, or she will get a patent for that invention, but the customers, if they don't see the utility of that product, they are not going to use it, they are not going to buy it. Creativity and innovation is actually a necessity for survival. So every entrepreneurial process starts with creative ideas. And creativity is actually the ability to discover new ways to solve existing problems, to create new opportunities. An invention is something new, okay? A device, a method, a process, okay? And a patent gives you the right to use or sell an invention. But once we refer to innovation, innovation is actually the ability, the capacity to commercialize, to sell an invention. And people will buy your product only if they will see that that product is valuable to them, okay? So invention is one thing, and innovation is once you see, you provide people, you give the possibility to the clients to validate your product, and they are gonna buy your product because this is valuable to them. So innovation happens all the time. It can happen in unexpected contexts. Also, once you find unconformities, you might have, or many entrepreneurs wanted to do a thing and they expected a certain results, but once the results were not necessarily the one that they expected initially, but they saw the value of it. Also, the industry market structure can rise opportunities. Changes in the demographics also highlight several opportunities. Change in people's perception. This COVID times highlight the fact that there are so many people change so much, and customer behavior changed significantly. But also, a source of innovation is your own knowledge, okay? And if you combine things, you might come up with something innovative that customers will find valuable. But you have to know, once you start, to innovate, once you want to create something new, you have to pay attention to your customer main difficulties and challenges. At the same time, you have to consider how are current solutions underperforming. What are the challenges faced by your customers, and more specifically, what makes them feel bad, okay, or fear? What are their fears? How to promote creativity to reach innovation. There are here some advices for you. So encourage diversity, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary collaboration. It's so very important. Learn from any experience. Learn from failure. Make use of this. Not everything is gonna be perfect, but definitely if you try, if you will fail, you will learn from this. So next time you will know what to do. Capitalizing on hobbies that you have. Once you enjoy what you are doing, then you will be more involved into your project. Encourage creative thinking. Be open. Accept failure. This is something that happens, and not always. You are not gonna get always the expected return, but this is a part of the process. Perceive problems as opportunities. Also develop procedures for capturing recommendations. Become a member of a learning community. What does it mean? So now, because we have so many tools to communicate, we can be part of different communities, groups. What is a community, learning community, or a community of practice? Groups of people that share the same interest for the same thing. And because once you meet somebody that knows or that has a similar interest with yours, with you, sorry, you are going to be much more likely to communicate with them, to learn from them, to transfer your knowledge as well. So be a part of learning communities. There are so many ways to do it. Discuss problems with customers, suppliers, business partners. You can learn a lot from them. Ask questions. Ask questions because only this way you will know the answer, okay? Study patterns. You might find that others have already created that product or that concept. But also you can, once you study the existing patterns, you can find also opportunities, sources of innovation, because you can identify patterns that already expired, so that their terms has expired. So this can be a source of innovation. Some recommended books, and yes, I think that if you will read them, this will help you a lot. So key takeaways: entrepreneurship is a team sport, not an individual sport. It requires common vision, shared values, and complementary skills. Also, you have to be passionate about what you want to start. If you want to create a business, take a look at what you enjoy the most and start from there. Also, you have to know that you can learn to be an entrepreneur, and the purpose of entrepreneurship is to create value. So you had the opportunity through this course to see what entrepreneurship is from economical and cultural standpoint. And you saw that it has so many definitions, but you must define what entrepreneurship means to you. Okay, so I told you that we will have a guest. David Mamano is here with us. Can you hear us?
I am here. Yes, I've been here. I've been here almost an hour.
Okay, I'm happy to have you here. So I have to inform my students that in 50 minutes the quiz is gonna be open, but no worries, I'm gonna give you the QR and I will let you know. Meanwhile, we are gonna have a discussion with David Mamano. He's a professor at University of Rochester. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, David. And I want to tell you that he was TEDx speaker for 2 times. Also, he had some books. If you want to read them, you have the possibility to read them, and are very inspirational. And I encourage you to do it. Also, he was actually, and still is, the podcast host. I already said about the fact that you are a professor and an entrepreneur. So let's start our discussion. David, I will kindly ask you to give us a brief overview of yourself as an entrepreneur. How did you start it, your journey? Give us a little brief background of yourself, of your activity as an entrepreneur.
Definitely will. Thanks for having me, Cătălina. Very much appreciate it. It was a joy having you here in Rochester, New York for those months. And you made a great impact. Rochester misses you, and we hope that you come back soon. I also want to extend, before I start, I want to extend some love and prayers over there in your part of the world with what's going on in Ukraine right now. Very sad, and I hope that gets resolved quickly, and Putin backs off and goes back home and leaves everybody alone. That's my opinion. So I wish you all safety in your area of the world. So starting my entrepreneurial journey. So I started my first company way back before you guys were probably born in 1995. I was a young buck, 25-year-old, very excited to, as Cătălina just said, in her talk, with a lot of the entrepreneurial traits and qualities and characteristics were very much bottled up inside of me. I was working for a bigger company, and while I liked the people and I liked my bosses, I just couldn't stand working for another company. And that's a trait of an entrepreneur, is where you feel like a caged lion, like you need to get out and just be free. And so while I had my real job, my corporate job at the time, I had this idea to start a magazine. And the magazine was I was going to call it Next Step Magazine. And the whole idea was to help high school students with college planning, career exploration, and life skills. Now here in the US, we have so many colleges. We have over 4,000 colleges and universities. And so what happened is a lot of students, especially back then, would just go to a college, but they wouldn't really have thought it out well. They wouldn't know why they were going to college. It just was like the expected thing to do. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a magazine that could help students while they're still in school, in high school, planning for life after high school. So, choosing the right college, choosing the right major, and then getting some life skills while they're, they're about to go to college. And life skills meaning it could be public speaking, right? It could be dressing for success. It could be health and wellness, right? So things like that. So I had this idea for the magazine Next Step, and so what I did is I went to a few different banks and applied for personal loans. I ended up raising $15,000, and I quit my real job and I started Next Step magazine. And it was very it was a bold yet scary move. I really didn't have a lot of money. I was young, but I just felt that I could do it. I was determined, and I told myself, if I'm very committed, I will find a way. And that's what I did. So, and part of finding the way was, at night, I was a waiter at a restaurant to make money, and during the day, I was a magazine publisher, right? So, but I did whatever I had to do to make it happen, right? And that's a lot of entrepreneurs. You'll see, like, they will work crazy hours because they're obsessed with their dream. and changing kind of the trajectory of their destiny, and so with the magazine, what I did is the whole business model. Like I said, the articles were going to be about college planning, career planning, and life skills, but we were going to give it away for free to the students through the high schools in bulk distribution. And the way we'd make our money was through advertising, mostly colleges advertising, banks for student loans, the military recruiting students, but mostly colleges. It was about 80% college advertising. So that was the model: colleges advertise, and then free distribution. And so the first couple of months, I signed up high schools in my city, Rochester, to distribute the magazine for free. And then I went to local colleges to see if they would advertise, and raised enough to broke even on the first issue. The second issue, we made a little money. The third issue, we made even more money. And then, the typical entrepreneur, you reach a goal and you get bored, then you want more, and you're always climbing this ladder. I joke that it's kind of a drug of choice, like you feel good by like the next challenge, and so the next challenge was, let's expand the magazine. So we went to our two neighboring cities, which is Buffalo, New York, and Syracuse, New York. And then we went to all New York State the year after. So we kept on growing. And then I wanted to go nationwide, but I couldn't just go nationwide with one magazine because most of my advertisers were colleges that recruited very regionally around New York State. So what I had to do was set up different editions in different states and regions around the country. And as you guys know, it's a big country, 50 states, 4,000 miles coast to coast, something like that. It's crazy. So we ended up setting up 17 regions around the country that had enough population to handle one edition. And the way I expanded was through franchising, almost like a McDonald's, right? So I set up a separate company that was the Franchise Corporation, and we did everything for the franchise. We did the design of the magazine, the cover, the articles, and then what we do is we give it to them. They would sell advertising in their region, and then put the ads, on the disc, and then we would do their printing and mailing for them. And they would pay us for every issue. If an advertiser in my region wanted to advertise in their region, they would just pay me a commission and vice versa. So we made money in many different ways. And it took us about 3 years, but we expanded the magazine to the whole country. We were in every state, even Hawaii and Alaska, which are not part of the continental U.S. So we were in every state. We were in about 20,000 high schools around the country 5 times a year. And it was a very good run. We won a lot of awards. We were very profitable. But it was based on a printed magazine. Back in 1995, print was still very big because the internet really hadn't taken off yet. But by the time we reached to maybe 2010, the internet, it's just the digital revolution really started to hit. And so my advertising was going down, down, down. So finally we just had to, fold the print, put everything online, and we became a full online magazine. And then what happened was, I really didn't enjoy it much anymore. It became more of a very transactional business. Students could read the articles, but the way it was supported through the colleges, they just didn't want to advertise anymore. They wanted to do more like cost per lead type of business, which means that they would put an ad on our site, but they would only pay us when somebody requested information from the college. So it became they call it a cost per lead business. And I didn't really love it. I lost my passion. So I ended up selling it. I sold the whole company to a woman in New York City that was more of a digital marketer. And then I started a company called Avanti. Now you may know, I know some of you probably speak Italian. Avanti means move forward in Italian. So it's kind of like a nice symbiotic name with next step. So next step, Avanti, always that forward movement, right? So then in 2016, I started a company called Avanti. And what it was that it was a company for entrepreneurs to help entrepreneurs start and grow businesses. So we had coaching programs. We would do events for entrepreneurs where we had speakers. That's when I started my podcast for entrepreneurs as well. And so it really turned into a monthly event company for entrepreneurs. So what I mean by that, here in Rochester, we had about 100 members paying an annual fee, an annual membership fee. And once a month, we would have an event. It'd be after work, 5 o'clock. In the beginning, it would be beer, wine, hors d'oeuvres, and networking. And then the second half, I'd have a speaker to teach them about sales, marketing, leadership, maybe their story, being an entrepreneur, et cetera. So we got about 100 members, started expanding that into different cities through like a licensing partnership. But then COVID hit, right? And in-person events wasn't happening anymore. So we went online with it, started doing online events, continued my coaching programs online as well. But we kind of I hope that we're coming out of COVID. This pandemic is ending. So I'm rebranding and relaunching more of a global business network. And I'm calling it Utopia. And it's YOU, Utopia. And those of you may know that, Utopia, with the U kind of means like the promised land, right? Oh, this is Utopia. Everything's perfect, right? So I'm creating the Utopia Network. And it's got, it's focused on global connecting. So we already have members from 4 countries. I have a member from Dubai, Spain, Canada, US, of course. And what we're doing with Utopia is what I call the 4 C's of business. So the first C is connections. We really work hard at providing meaningful connections with everybody so that we can all help and learn and grow from each other. So connections. The second C is classes. We do weekly classes, online weekly classes. The third C is community. So what we're doing is we're creating micro communities, so smaller communities within Utopia that are based on, it could be industry, it could be hobbies, geography, something that they have in common. And then the fourth C is coaching. So we offer coaching programs to our members as well. So just launching it, we're going to launch the site probably tomorrow, the website tomorrow. We have our brand new logo, but it's we're really trying to create a place of, just heart-centered entrepreneurs that really want to help each other. And yeah, let's all make some money together too. So that is the very short answer of my entrepreneurial journey so far, Catalina. And it wasn't so short, I apologize.
Such a journey. Thank you so much. I would like to continue with the next question. Before that, I want to tell to my students that in 2 minutes, the QR code is going to be activated and I'm going to change the slide. Okay, here you can find the QR code. Okay, and you can use it in 2 minutes. Okay, so then meanwhile, we are gonna, once you finish with the questionnaire, with the quiz, you can join once again our discussions. You can stay here with us. We are gonna continue our discussions interview. Also, once you finish with the quiz, you can ask questions. You can come up with, recommendations. You can ask questions. You can ask me or David things that you want to know about. Okay. So meanwhile, I'm gonna continue with the next question. So in 1 minute, don't forget, the quiz is gonna be activated. This is the QR code. So David, back to you. What does being an entrepreneur entails for you?
Well, for me, being an entrepreneur, the number one word that comes to mind is freedom. So you have freedom to live the life you want to lead. You can create the life you want to lead. It's a lot of hard work, don't get me wrong, but you have the freedom to create your destiny. You have the freedom to plan your day. You have freedom to plan the people that you want to work with and be around. And also you have the freedom to, create the products that you want to create, right? So whatever is you're passionate about, and something that you love doing anyway, you have the opportunity and the ability to make a difference in the world, your life, the life of your employees, your customers, by really creating a product that means something to you, and you also have the freedom to create the standards that you want. Sometimes when you work for a company, you might feel like they're not up to the high standards that you are important to you. But when you have your own company, you get to set the standards and create those standards and then make them happen. You get to create the workplace culture, right? So like pick the people that you work with and then create the environment to let them thrive. So that's what it means to me. I think it all comes down to the freedom of all these choices that I was just talking about.
Oh, thank you so much, David. We've talked about entrepreneurial mindset, and I would like to ask you about what is entrepreneurial mindset from your perspective? What are the qualities, the skills that a student should have in order to be successful? You started your business as a young entrepreneur, so you might know very well what to recommend them.
Yeah, you have to be somebody who is very motivated, self-motivated, because no one's going to motivate you. You have to be very positive attitude. You have to be somebody that loves to kind of infuse your brain with just positive, uplifting, information. You can't be negative. You could be realistic and positive, right? And you have to expect that you will succeed. I'll say that again. You have to expect that you will succeed, because no one else is going to as much as you are. And even when people think you're crazy, you got to say, I'm moving forward. Like, I know this is going to happen. You have to be obsessed with your success and obsessed with positivity every day. And you have to do activities to keep that up. So such as exercise, getting outside, fresh air, eating well, reading positive materials, watching positive, shows, probably not watching the negative news too much, right? Maybe you can watch Tony Robbins instead, right? So it's very, very important that you get enough sleep. Very important. Get enough water. You have to do a lot of mental and physical, strategies in your life to help you stay positive. So those would be the important things.
I want to ask you also about, so nowadays it's so important and more important becomes is actually the social impact. I would like to ask you, what do you think about an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, what is a social entrepreneur from your perspective, and how important is social innovation and social impact and having a social mission?
Well, it's 1,000% important, right? I mean, I think every entrepreneur should consider themselves a social entrepreneur in some respect, and in the fact that how can I help people with what I'm doing, so someone might say, well, I make parts for a car. Like, my company makes auto parts. I'm just, I'm just saying that, right? So how am I a social entrepreneur? Well, what can your company do to better the environment, better the community, right? Can you do things in your community to let your employees volunteer? Can you donate money to great causes, right? So I think everybody should consider themselves a social entrepreneur. It's our human duty to make the world a better place. And in entrepreneurs, we get a lot of opportunities to do that. Now, if you're an outright social entrepreneur, in my mind, that is a company that is directly impacting, helping people, right? You may be, selling shoes, and every pair of shoes that gets sold, you're donating a pair to people in need, right? So, or your company, may be working hard to, create a better environment in the inner city. Maybe you're working hard at getting healthier food choices in some bad areas in the city where they don't have options to have healthy food, right? So directly benefiting other people in your community, in the world, that is being a social entrepreneur. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And then they can't be shy about making money, because the more money they make, the more people they could help, right? So being a social entrepreneur, I think, is it's a blessing to the world, to the community, and it really is a great way for an entrepreneur to use their creativity and work ethic and passion to help others in need.
Great answer. In relation to the pandemic, hopefully this pandemic will end this year. I want to ask you about the challenges and the opportunities you encountered in terms of organizing and developing your business. And if you have, recommendations for other entrepreneurs, what they have to do during this complex times due to this COVID.
Yeah, well, I think, first and foremost, what I was saying before about, mental health, physical health, it could be a very challenging time, right? Mentally, there's a lot of people that are very stressed, very anxious, depressed, lonely. So you have to be very proactive about taking care of yourself first. And that sounds selfish, but if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to be good for other people, right? So your mental health, your physical health, your energy, you have to take care of that first, I think, to get through this pandemic. And if you're lonely, which is very real, how can you not be lonely? How can you, surround yourself with other people in a safe way, right? Can you go outside for a hike? What can you do to call friends and family to kind of not be lonely, because it's a sad thing, I know. But as far as business goes, yeah, a lot of businesses, have their business model very, very disrupted by the pandemic. So it's a matter of, how can I shift my model? How can I be different? How can I provide different experiences to my customers so that I'm still relevant during the pandemic, right? Restaurants, right? A lot of them were forced to shut down during the beginning of the pandemic. So they did more delivery services. Here in the U.S., they were able to sell liquor, so they are and very innovative, pickup processes too, where you went through technology, you could order food, get it delivered, pick it up, you put it in the trunk so people weren't exposed. So it really provided a challenge and / opportunity to have businesses, kind of navigate the storm and reinvent themselves so that they're still relevant during a pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot of these practices will continue because they need to continue to be relevant and also be prepared in case, there's another pandemic, right?
Right.
Now you got to say, all right, I'm prepared this time, right? So, Utopia, my new network, it's online, right? We're global, online. Now, once the pandemic clears, I may do in-person events. I may do live in-person events. I hope I do, but that won't be the core of the business, right? The core of the business is online. And that's how I've shifted my business model. So everyone has to take a look at their business model and say, how can I buck and jive and be relevant now during a pandemic and after, in case another one comes too.
Yes, very good. Let's see. I would like to ask you how do you see the future? How do you see the trends going on? How do you see the market going forward? You told us about the technology advances, and you think that actually this is going to be a major component of the business model of successful entrepreneurs. But there are other things that you can,
consider that are gonna happen in the future?
Yeah, I think, the world is a different place now. The U.S., because of our democracy and our capitalism, has really shown the world what freedom can be, and we've tried to kind of spread that message and helped other countries, feel that spirit as well. So I'm hoping that will just continue more and more, that, the world will grow to a place where, anybody with the right mindset and drive can start a company, even if it's a small company in their hometown or a bigger company that becomes worldwide. But I do think that as I say, Pandora's box, it has been opened, worldwide in the world of entrepreneurship, democracy, capitalism. And I hope, and I do feel like these philosophies and strategies will continue, because once you've tasted the world of entrepreneurship, you can't go back. I don't think I'd be able to live in Russia or China, because I need to be free. I need to be a complete freedom-loving entrepreneur. And as long as I'm not breaking any laws, no one can tell me what to do. And that is still possible here in the U.S., and I hope it continues forever.
Oh, yes. Like we discussed at the beginning of the course, the best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. So you summarized very well this statement. I want also to, I have another question. What, if you have some advice for our students that they want to follow the entrepreneurial path? What?
Yeah, I would say start now. Can you create a website and sell something? Maybe you make something. Maybe you can help somebody with what do you do? What do you love doing anyway? What are your hobbies, as Cătălina said? And how can you create a business like that? Even if it's just on the side, while you're in school, can you create a website? Can you create a service and just do it part-time? Here in America, we call it the side gig. So people have these side gigs, right? Or side hustle is another word. A little side hustle. People have full-time jobs that are going to school, or maybe they're full-time parents, but they have a little side hustle going on, and they make a little extra money from it. So I think at this stage in your life, just to kind of dip your toe in the entrepreneurial pool, and don't have to risk a lot, and give it a shot and see how you like it. And listen, Cătălina can provide you all with my email if you ever have any questions along the way. Feel free to email me, and I will try to help you any way I can. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you guys are on LinkedIn, you can find me if you just go David Mamano. Yep, there I am right there. Thank you. And I, that's another great way to stay in touch with me, is send me messages on LinkedIn, because I use LinkedIn a lot. So I'm on Facebook as well. I'm a little more fun and goofy over there. But LinkedIn, I'm all business. So.
Okay, thank you so much. If there are other questions, dear students, if you want to address some questions, feel free to do it. We are here to listen your question, and we will try to provide you the right answers. So,
I have a question. So, do you hear me?
Yes,
I do, yeah.
Very well.
So when you are at the beginning of the road and you have to basically choose, and you have a lot of information. Actually, I study a little bit of business in the last 2, 3 years, and then I experienced a little bit, but I feel there are so many opportunities, and I like a little bit too many things, and I don't know what to choose. Should I focus more on the profit side, or more on the mission side, the social side of entrepreneurship? Thank you, and congratulations for everything what you did, and good luck in life. Have a good life.
Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, so I can't answer that for you. I mean, that's something that you have to answer. What I do know is, and I feel strongly that we all have one God-given talent that is just like the best thing we do. And maybe we don't know it yet, but you could try different things. Like for me, my favorite thing that I do is public speaking. Right, I love speaking to companies. I do comedy. Cătălina came to see me do comedy. Like I love speaking, so I try to do it as much as possible. So and there's a book called The One Thing, which is a great book to read. But it's all about finding what is the one thing, the one God-given gift that you have that when you do it, you're in this zone of genius. You're in flow, as they say. You're really good at it, and how can you do more of that? And that's what your business should be, is focused on what is that one thing, and then prune that rose bush, focus on the one thing, doing it over and over again to make your business a success.
Okay, other questions?
I would like to ask a question, if possible.
Please.
All right. First of all, thank you for you being here, and thank you for sharing your story. It was actually really interesting to listen to your advice, hardship, and success. And one point or one question that I really have in mind is, how do you deal with getting burnt out, if you've ever got burnt out? Because whenever I have an idea or I think about something, I just try to craft it, put it in motion, and then at one point I feel like maybe it's just not it. Maybe it's just not going to do something to it, and I'll just abandon it or leave it there. So how did you tackle this kind of hardship through your success?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's two different things there. It sounds like, the first thing you talk about with burnout, and the burnout is, I feel burnout's like you're working so hard on your business that you mentally and physically burn out. And that could be very common if you don't take care of yourself. So again, those self-care tips, to avoid burnout, like know when to stop, because everybody needs rest, recovery and recharge, right? And the best way to do that is a good night's sleep. You look at all the health experts, and it's really coming to light that a good night's sleep is the number one thing you can do for your health. So many chemical reactions take place in your body and your brain while you're sleeping. It's unbelievable. And if you are not getting a good night's sleep on a regular basis, your health will suffer, mental and physical. So, to avoid burnout, sleep, enough water, exercise, and doing things that you love too. Like, you got to keep up with that, eating well, all that stuff. Now, as far as like having an idea and then moving to the other idea, well, that's kind of a big characteristic of entrepreneurs, where we're a little manic. We thrive on the new idea, and then we launch it and we get a little bored, so we go to the next idea. And so it's a tough thing, and it does require a lot of focus, especially if you're like at ADHD like I am. It does require, I do some extra exercise to really make sure that I stay focused and build the mountain that I started before I move on to another mountain. Because otherwise, you're going to have all these little half-finished mountains, and you're never going to find true success. And I think the best way to do that is find something that you love so much that you would do it anyway, and you get paid for it. What a great coincidence, right? So I love networking and connecting with people. I love speaking. I love podcasting. I love all that stuff, and it all comes together. It all ties in. So for me, I've been very excited about what I'm doing lately, and I haven't thought about anything else.
Can you give us more advice regarding ADHD?
ADHD?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, there's if you email me, I'll send you a link. I can send it to Cătălina. A professor friend of mine in Syracuse, the next city over, wrote a book about ADHD, and he teaches a class in college about entrepreneurs having ADHD. And most entrepreneurs do have some form of ADHD, right? And so it's all about managing it to make it a superpower instead of making it a detriment. And once again, a lot of it has to do with exercise, eating well, not too much caffeine, things like that. But you want to like harness the creativity of being an ADHD entrepreneur and not let it just take you everywhere where you can't focus. But he wrote a whole book about it. He's got a TEDx talk about it. In fact, you can Google it. It's his name is John Torrens, Torrens, John Torrens. And the name of the TEDx talk is ADHD as a superpower. I think that's it. Maybe ADHD as an entrepreneur superpower. But there's some great tips in there. And he's a full-time professor on this. So, and in fact, I did a podcast interview with him as well that I could share with you too. So yeah, anybody that wants to email me, you know what I'll do? I will put my email in here right now as well. And I could forward, you know, if you have any questions about this, I could send you anything that I have at my disposal to help you. There we go. David at davidmamano.com. There we go. So, and I do answer my emails. So it might take a day, but I do answer my emails. And Cătălina makes sure I answer because she'll send 6 of the same email, and then I.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to make sure, right?
Yeah, just to be sure, exactly. Other questions? We still have some minutes, 9 minutes. If you want to.
I would have a question if I'm allowed.
Please.
First of all, thank you for being here. And my question is, what is the hardest lesson which you've learned on your skin throughout this journey of entrepreneurship?
What is the most difficult lesson I've learned with the journey? I would say that to slow down, right? Like you want to be obsessed, but you also don't want to move too fast that you go off the cliff. And it's kind of an art, so that you do want to stay focused, working hard. But a lot of entrepreneurs, including me, got in trouble because I was moving too fast. So for instance, with Next Step, with the magazine, I started introducing like new ideas. Like I had ideas for like different magazines for teenagers. I had ideas to, open up a retail center. I had ideas to open up an online school. I just had too many ideas that really kind of slowed down the company, really confused my employees because I was giving them too much to do. So I think the hardest lesson I learned is to, stay focused on the core business and make sure that's really up and running before you go start something new. And the way you do that is you either sell it or get somebody who's more of a manager to run it for you once it's up and running, and then go start something new. But don't try to pile on too many ideas too early, because that tends to kind of choke the organization.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? If there are, yeah, please, Viorel.
Again, about the ADHD, like the best advice you can give to a student, because I'm really realized now, I'm almost 30. I realize now that I struggled this all my life, but now that I have like a serious job, a family and stuff like that, I found it harder to control everything, and I want to do so many things, and I'm really happy that I choose this course also, and you participate, because I got a lot of good ideas, but I need some more. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, again, really like look up. You could, on Google, investigate like good foods to eat when you have ADHD, right? And it's going to tell you to stay away from like processed foods, a lot of carbohydrates like bread and pasta. like really try to eat healthy, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, a lot of lean proteins, right? Because these are foods that are not going to spike your insulin, so it's not going to affect your mood. Not a lot of sugars, right? Because that's a bit like that is big for ADHD people, is to really manage your state of mind through what you put in your body, right? So that'd be one of the things I tell you, getting enough sleep. But again, exercise. I work out like crazy for an hour every morning. Like I'm dripping with sweat. And, if I don't do that, and there's sometimes I just can't do it, maybe I have to get up really early for a flight or a meeting, I can feel it throughout the day. I'm definitely more scattered. My wick is shorter, my fuse is shorter. But a darn good exercise is really good for that too. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not anything like that. But I do see a nutritionist. She's like a nutrition therapist, right? And I told her, I tell her what I need help with. And I do tell her sometimes, like, oh, she's got so many ideas. You could buy it over the counter in America. It's not a prescription, it's not a drug. It's an all natural supplement called GABA, GABA, GABA. I don't know if you could buy it in Romania or not, but in the US, you could buy it at a store. And I take one a day. And what it does is it doesn't affect your personality, your moods, or anything, but it calms your synapses down just enough so that you're a little less hyperactive, So I'm, once again, I'm not prescribing it. I'm not a doctor, but you might want to investigate it and see if it's the right thing for you. I never wanted to take any prescription drugs for my ADHD because what I have heard is that it can kind of like dull your personality. You know what I mean? And the spark. And I never wanted to lose my spark.
Burrell, you can send an email to David using his email address. Okay, you can, and you will find more about GABA or other recommendations. Okay, other questions? If there are, you can ask us. If not, this is the end of this first course. I hope that you enjoy it, and you will have the opportunity to learn so many wonderful things next weeks. Okay, congratulations for being here with us. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you, David, for inspiring our students and for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank
I appreciate it.
you so much. Bye.
Thank you.